Hey everybody, this is Kevin and welcome to a special debut of my newest project that I want to show off here. If you remember a few days ago, I did an unboxing video for Max-Q rockets, and in that unboxing were two Falcon Heavy kits and two surprise kits that I knew nothing about. This video is to highlight the Falcon Heavy project though, and I kind of alluded to it that it was going to be a surprise, and I didn't want to make too big a deal about it in case it didn't get this far. But now that it has, it's come to fruition, it's ready to fly. I want to announce it, discuss it, and talk a little bit about it and see what y'all think. So this is a Falcon Heavy just like the last one, or so it would seem. However, this has been heavily modified to accept not just a center core motor like the initial design is for, but this rocket flies on 3 clustered motors, 2 side cores and the center. Now, the operation of these is what's going to make it even more unique. I upgraded the motor mounts on the side cores to accept E-motors just like is in the center core. So E's all along the board here. The outer two are going to be boosters. I'm going to run E12 zeros. Center core is either going to be an E12.4 or an E12.6. I haven't decided that yet. But the reason I'm running boosters on the side is because there's no deployment feature. There's no, these are permanently mounted. They don't pop off. There's no parachute system recovery for them. So I don't want an ejection charge occurring in the side cores. And to prevent any damage from the forward discharge of the flame, which would ignite a second stage, I built in a bulkhead just forward of the motor mount, and it's covered with JB weld. It's heavily fireproof, so it'll prevent any flame or embers flying forward up into the plastic. So the boosters should get the rocket up on their own. They're going to be the only two lit on ignition, the outboards. When the rocket reaches burnout on those, obviously the rocket will then have a sense of deceleration. It will sense that it's no longer being boosted upward. And I'm going to be flying it with the RFC flight computer because this has an air start feature in it. So I'm going to be running an air start module up in the front payload. So when it senses the lack of acceleration from the outboard motors, it's going to send a signal down to ignite the center core, which will then propel it even higher and faster. I've done air starts before on my RAV series of rockets. The technology works, so there's really no reason why it wouldn't work in this application. The only unknown is the design of the rocket, the stability, the timing for the like I said, either a 4-second or a 6-second on the center core. That's all to be determined, but I want to show you kind of up close how I implemented this. So when you build the Falcon Heavy, as you know, you have to glue these little side plastic, that's a little crooked, plastic channels or raceways on the side of the boosters. Well, I did the same thing with the center, except this is not a plastic stringer. That's actually black electrical wire. That is the actual air start wire that's going down to where the igniter will be to light the center core. And I've got one on each side. So that's electrical wire mimicking the raceways. Then at the top, I've got a break in the wire, and these are the slip-away connections that I've got that will initially electrify the wire from the air start module, but can simply be pulled out and slid out on discharge when it blows the nose cone off. So now that you kind of get an idea, and really aesthetically the only thing I don't like about it is how I have the white wire coming out the sides. Initially I did have the wiring internal to the tube, but when I was doing practice testing with packing the chutes and all the shock cord, that wiring for the air start was really becoming cumbersome, and I said, you know what, I'd rather run exterior wires and have it not be quite as aesthetically pleasing, but not risk. I'd rather do that than risking not getting a good chute deployment. So let me show you the innards. I'm going to show you a little test run with the RFC, how we can simulate an air start. So, but let's just, for the sake of argument, say, okay, everything's connected, and we have our discharge at apogee. That joint simply disconnects as they slide out and breaks contact. So that then we'll get good deployment. This is obviously going to be tethered to our shock cord, which is still up in the tube down there. Okay, so let's rig up a simulation here showing how this would all work. Okay, so I've got two little, I forget the name of them, but these little electrical contacts. I've got one that's taped down to the body tube, and this one, just by sheer pressure, will slip underneath it, making contact. We'll do the same thing on this side. Slide it under the tape, again, holding some pressure on it. Okay, now to access the module, let me gently lay this down. I'm going to have to open up the payload bay up the top fairing here. Okay, now this wire and connector you see coming out here, this is the connector that plugs into the air start module. And there's a, let me see if you can see down there, these wires split and exit the payload bay at these 2 points here, which then of course go down to the body tube. All right, so let's go ahead and fire up the RFC. Okay, get the switch on. It's on. Now, I don't think many people have seen the air start module, but this is the little module that we utilize to initiate the air start. So this plug here plugs into the RFC. Okay, so when this senses the motor burnout on the side cores, it sends a signal to this module, which then will convert 7.4 volts out of this 2S battery and send it down through this connector down the length of the body tube. Okay, now to simulate this, what we can do is, instead of plugging into an actual igniter, you can take a little LED light bulb. In fact, if you've seen my flight videos, this is the same light bulb that I've flown on board doing simulated air starts in flight. It's just an LED, I'm sorry, it's just a little light bulb actually, wrapped in red heat shrink. So we can just tie these wires together by twisting them to make contact, just like you would be doing to an igniter. Let me get these twisted together. Now, of course, when I actually hook up an igniter, I'll be not only twisting these, but wrapping them with some masking tape to help keep that connection. Okay? So I'm going to stand the rocket up. Let me lean it against the wall. Okay, so the RFC is barely visible here at the top of the screen, but there's a simulation button where if you hold down this little button at the very top here, it'll do a 5-second countdown, and then what that'll do is at the end of the countdown, it will send a simulated signal to the module, which will then send power down the tube through these side channels to the connections, and then should light up our light bulb. So let me turn this bulb in such a way you can see it. Okay, so assuming we got all the connections made, everything's making contact, we should be good. So let me do a countdown as I hold down the button. Okay, we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. There we go. So that proves that all the connections are good, and we'll get to the igniter. What you just saw happen will occur, again, a couple hundred feet up in the air, when the side core motors burn out and cause a deceleration. That'll trigger the RFC to send that signal. So all that technical jargon just to tell you that I'll be running a 2-stage without, breaking off the bottom stage, but a 2-stage air start unit with 3-motor cluster on a SpaceX Falcon Heavy. Again, this started out as a Max-Q rockets kit, heavily modified. Now you're probably saying, okay, Kevin, you're adding a lot of tail weight with those 2 extra motors. That is correct. But I'm also adding a lot of nose weight up front because I'm running the air start with the LiPo battery. I'll be having all my altimeters up in the front, and like a friend of mine always says, Kevin, you fly with everything but the kitchen sink up there. So I don't think nose weight's going to be an issue. I'm going to have to pack it, though, full of all the equipment. And assuming we get a good air start, we'll end up with a good deployment. Our parachute will bring it down softly. We should be good to go. So I'm making this video midweek. Hopefully, Lord willing, the creek don't rise and the winds are low. Saturday morning, I'll be out at the launch site testing this out. So you definitely want to stay tuned for my launch days video come this weekend and see how it goes. And in fact, I've got some other projects that I'll be testing out there at the same time as well. So lots of good stuff coming up this weekend, guys. So stay tuned for the uploads. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Please leave your comments. Let me know what you think. I'm sure some people have better ideas on this or that. Let me know what you think. I'm game for any or all options. So anyway, I'll let you go with that. Thanks for watching, everybody. God bless, and we'll see you at the launch site.